Hi, Christian Young from Impress Solutions again. Are safety professionals purists, almost to their own detriment? I'll walk you through an example of a bow tie I completed previously for a client. And if I had have stuck to the process, to the letter of the law, we wouldn't have finished it and we wouldn't have got the outcome that we all wanted. So the bow tie, which you can see mapped out here, basically was around psychosocial risks. We went through the process where with the cross-section, got everyone in the room, we went through scope, set everyone on the same scene, understood what we were talking about, what's in, what's out, things like that. Then we went through causes and consequences, which everyone will be familiar with, and got to the controls, so preventative controls. Now, the interesting thing here, I've given it a tick. The interesting thing here is it was a new hazard to site, or it's been around, but in terms of understanding controls, identifying controls, we're in design phase. Everything was new, everything was conceptual. So that actually took a fair bit of time to get to a position where we could come up with some things, certainly on these different causes that the organisation had never considered before. And you can see here, that's what I've mapped out, is most of them, if I looked across the suite, probably 80%, maybe 90% were new. And certainly by the time we worked out, well, what's a control versus support activity versus a verification activity, people were a little bit depressed when we actually ripped out things that weren't true controls. Anyway, but we got a tick there for preventative and mitigating. Then when the next part in the process, or our process, is to perform a control effectiveness assessment on each of those controls. So we take each one and say, okay, what's its level of effectiveness in relation to this cause leading to that? Is it red, amber, green? And we go through a structured process to do that. And what I realized, this was on day 2, we only had a 2-day block. What I realized is that the amount of conversation and thinking that went into performing a simplistic control assessment, got it out, on these new controls, we might take 15, 20 minutes. And how many controls we had, there was no chance that we would get this bow tie done within this period of time. So I was willing to just park control effectiveness so we could actually keep moving on. So that's one thing where I give myself a cross from a purist perspective. Same with critical controls. So we only had probably about an hour and a half left, maybe only an hour left. So this cross section would never convene again. It's a mining house. Good luck getting them back. So as opposed to going through our structured process, which we would normally do if we had the time and space, where we take each of these controls and run it through the pathway, consider control effectiveness assessment as one of those things. I actually just went straight through, okay, if you could choose 3 out of these, which would you say is most important? And so that really harnessed the conversation down the critical field. And we went around the grounds and we got to a position where everyone could sign up to and subscribe to that. So again, I give myself a cross around that, but it allowed us to get to the point where we had a clear action for each of these new controls. For all the other gaps that we had the action plan defined, who's going to do what, by when, by the end of the session. And we also had a completed bow tie. So my reflection there, and this is the question to everyone, is if I had been fixed on the bow tie process, we wouldn't have got it done. So I know I watch a lot of safety professionals out there, and we talk about what good looks like and what it needs to be, but sometimes is that to our own detriment? And at the end of the day, do we think about who we're trying to help and what the outcome is, and are we willing to be flexible to achieve the outcome so that everyone wins? So not just me as a safety professional, but participants and the organisation, and we actually are doing something around these risks. That's my thoughts. Love to hear what other people's perspectives are on this. Thanks for listening. Chat to you again. Bye-bye.